Well, that was quite a welcome. Thank you very much, Rupesh, for the official welcome. My name is Philip Smith. I'm the Apricot Chair and would like to welcome you all to Apricot 2018. So I'd just like to say a few words before I'd like to welcome our official guest and our keynote speakers to greet you as well. So welcome distinguished guests, our VIPs, Mayor Bidya Sundar Shakya, Amir Khan and Mahabir Pun, who's going to be our keynote speakers. This is the first time Apricot has been in Nepal. As many of you might know, Apricot has been running since it started in Singapore in 1996. And we've been touring around the Asia-Pacific region pretty much since then. This is the 23rd Apricot, and we're very, very happy to have finally made it to Kathmandu. As you may know, Apricot helps spinning out network operations groups in different countries as well as regional NOGs. And actually the South Asia NOG grew out of the early efforts of Apricot in 2003. So this is actually the 31st SANOG as well. SANOG is co-located with Apricot and is part of this big event. Apricot is focused on internet operations and technology, and we do a lot of training as well for network operators all around the Asia-Pacific region. Apricot is brought to you in partnership with APNIC. APNIC is one of the founders of Apricot from way, way back when the then Director General thought it would be a great idea that Asia-Pacific region should have something like Joint Techs and NANOG in the US. Well, at the moment, we have a very packed program. We have over 900 delegates registered. Last I heard from the registration desk, there were almost 600 people had checked in here at the registration. And I know that there's still many more people coming, so I expect this will be a very busy 4 days. Some of us have already been here for a week. We've had workshops completed on Friday. 172 participants with 23 instructors over 5 workshops. So if some of us appear a little bit jaded, we're kind of halfway through. Actually, we're more than halfway through and actually looking forward to this part of the event. We have a very busy conference program. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I'm sure you'd like to hear the welcomes from the other folks we have joining you on the stage here. But please do actively take part through the peering forum, the various Bird the Feather sessions, the APNIC conference sessions, and the other technical sessions, not to mention the tutorials which already started this morning. So I would now like to invite Paul Wilson to please come up and say a few words of introduction on behalf of APNIC.
Namaste. Firstly, I'd very much like to thank Mayor Shakya of Kathmandu for joining us here this afternoon. Obviously, you can see from the crowd how very excited we are to be here in your city of Kathmandu, so thank you. Thanks also to the hosts, NPIX in particular, and our friends and colleagues at Apricot. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you, to APNIC members, to members of the regional and global internet communities. It's really great to see you all here and incredible that we've got, nearly 1,000 registrants here for Apricot 2018. I've actually been to Nepal several times over the years. I was here twice during the 1990s. The difference between then and now is obviously really huge and in many, many different ways. But I think the internet in Nepal especially has obviously changed. I mean, in the 1990s, there was no internet until the mid-90s. I actually came to do some work with a company called Mercantile and Sanjeev, who was establishing one of the first connections here. But many years later, today, internet penetration is 63%, according to the Telecommunications Authority, which is very respectable for the region. And I was amazed to hear that the NOC here at Apricot was able to secure 41 gigabits of connectivity, and that's something that's completely unthinkable just a few years ago, let alone back when the internet started here. So that's incredible. Nepal is a wonderful country. The internet here and around the region will keep on growing, and that's really what APNIC is all about. So I think everyone here is involved with building the internet in some way or another, and Apricot gives us a chance to build our skills and our knowledge to do that job as well. We've got some of the greatest experts, I think, in the internet industry here with us this week, so we can all take advantage of that. The idea is not only that, but also to learn from each other, to strike up discussions in the hallways and over lunch, to ask questions in sessions, to contribute to sessions like the APNIC Policy SIG, which is coming up later in the week and is your chance to contribute to policy development in the region. I'll also give a plug for the APNIC Annual General Meeting, which is open to everyone, but it's your chance to hear about what your RAR APNIC has been up to, particularly in the last year. I'm here with quite a contingent of APNIC staff, so APNIC members in particular, but anyone, of course, please feel free to approach us with anything that you need, and any way we can help, we'll certainly have a go. So on that note, building the internet, a stable and secure internet, is a task that we can only achieve by working all together, sharing in best practices and supporting one another, and that's exactly what brings us here together at Apricot each year. And so I think this year, I really hope it's a fantastic start, and I really hope that the week is a good one for all of you. And thanks again for coming all the way to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. I'd now like to invite Gaurav Rajapadaya, who is the chair of the local organising committee and NPIX, to come up and say a few words on behalf of the host.
Thank you, Philip. I'm Gaurav Rajapadaya. I'm the chair of NPIX, as well as the 2018 organizing committee, amongst many other hats I wear. And you'll see me here quite often during the week. First and foremost, welcome to Nepal. Welcome to our hometown, home country. You know, a lot of you guys know me, either personally or through name, but maybe not realize that we've been trying to bring Apricot here since 2003. I was going through my old emails the other day for some other reasons, and I realized that I emailed Philip in 2003 saying, how can we get Apricot to Nepal? So 16 years later, we have it here. Thank you, Apricot. Respected Mayor, Bidasundar Sakya, Philip, Paul, Amir, Mahabir, Rupesh, and the NPIX team, as well as the local organizing committee. This is very unlike me. I'm lost for words because this has been such a long time waiting that I'm looking at my notes and trying to think what to say, because Philip already said most of it and so did Paul. But I think one of the main things that we have been trying to do since 2003 is to train our engineers and make sure that Nepalese engineers are at par with anywhere else in the world. And I think in the last 15 years or so, along with the establishment of NPIX, which was one of us first in the whole region, and then we started SANOG in 2003, and then we've been doing this for a long time now. And in the many years, I think we've gone to a level where I'm very happy that we Nepalese trainers have gone abroad and taught at Apricots. We participated, we have presented, and we are the South Asians, so the people from the region are almost everywhere. So that is a highlight of this thing. The other few things here for me to add, mostly as a local host, NPIX is an exchange. We are fairly small in global numbers, but I think we do a pretty good job. Small exchanges are also very valuable. And then, we think that, as an example of a community organization that is trying to do good in the country, something like NPIX or any other internet community organizations are very important. We are not quite Apricot or Apinic, but I think in our own ways we try to emulate that feeling of community in our own countries. Having said that, I would emphasize that there is a lot more to Kathmandu and Nepal outside of the Yak and Yeti. Please take some time. The tourist season starts when Apricot ends, so this is the right time to be here. I think officially the tourist season starts on the 1st of March, so hopefully you'll spend some more time here, have some more fun, eat a lot of momos, if anything, and then, have a wonderful time. Before I go off, I would actually, I'm just a figurehead here. The event has been put together by a huge group of people. I would like to request all my NPIX board members and the 2018 organizing committee to just stand up so that we can get appreciation from the host side. So this is quite a few of us around here, mostly in this front side and the back side. Thank you very much to the team, to my team who worked very hard to put this together. And also would like to thank all our sponsors. I can't read them all right now, but special thanks to NPNOG. A lot of those guys volunteered here in the network. You can pretty much say the network here has been run by the NPNOG folks mostly, or people who participate there, or our local community. Thank you very much. And before I end, yesterday we were having, I don't know, tea or something, and a bunch of us were reminiscing about how back in the day we were all using dial-up modems, and today we have 41 gig in the NOC. And if we should find one of those Lucent Portmaster that we loved to hate back then, and put it in a museum somewhere. I actually thought about it this morning and said, let's forget about those things and start looking into the future. So if you go around the hotel in many places, you'll find these IoT devices. That is the future. The sensors and Internet of Things and whatever we can do is the future. And I think our two keynote speakers today will not look at the past, more so look at the future. So let's look for another 15 years of successful Apricot, and maybe you will come back here in Nepal for Apricot once again at some point. Thank you very much.
So I'd now like to invite our official guest, Mayor Shakya, the Mayor of Kathmandu, to come and say a few words.
Namaskar and good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Philip Smith, Chair of Apricot, Mr. Paul Wilson, DG of APNIC, keynote speakers, Mr. Amir Khan and Dr. Mahabir Pun, आयोजक इन्टरनेट एक्सचेन्ज नेपालका टोली, यस सम्मेलन भाग लिइरहनुभएका महिला तथा सज्जनवृन्द। सर्वप्रथम म यहाँहरू सबैलाई नेपाल र खास गरेर काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकामा स्वागत गर्दछु र साथसाथै हाम्रो शहरमा यस्तो किसिमको प्रभावशाली भेला आयोजना गर्नुभएकोमा हार्दिक धन्यवाद व्यक्त गर्दछु। म सूचना प्रविधिसँग सम्बन्धित व्यक्ति नभएर राजनीतिक कार्यकर्ता हुँ र पनि सूचना प्रविधि हामी सबैको दैनिक जीवनको महत्त्वपूर्ण पाटो बनिसकेको जानकारी मलाई छ। यहाँहरूलाई विदितै होला कि हाम्रो मुलुक सङ्घीय गणतन्त्रमा गइसकेको छ। केही समय अगाडि भएको स्थानीय चुनावदेखि भर्खर मात्र सम्पन्न सङ्घ र प्रादेशिक चुनावमा सूचना प्रविधिको व्यापक रूपमा प्रयोग भएको थियो। यसै प्रसङ्गमा सूचना सम्प्रेषणका लागि प्रयोग भएका टेलिफोन, एसएमएस, फेसबुक, ट्विटर लगायतका सामाजिक सञ्जालहरूले गर्दा चुनाव प्रचारको लागि पारम्परिक ढङ्गमा हुने सामुदायिक भेलामा भन्दा पनि सूचना प्रविधिको प्रयोगले गर्दा हामी जस्ता कार्यकर्ता अझ हौसिएका थियौँ र सूचना प्रविधिको महत्त्वलाई आत्मसात गरेका थियौँ। तसर्थ आजको यस महत्त्वपूर्ण भेलाले सम्पूर्ण क्षेत्रलाई ओगटेर विकासको प्रत्येक खुट्किलामा सूचना प्रविधिको महत्त्वलाई दर्शाइरहेको मैले महसुस गरेको छु। हामीले मेयरको लागि चुनाव लड्दा होस् वा मेयरको पद ग्रहण गरिसकेपछि हाम्रो काठमाडौँलाई स्मार्ट बनाउने प्रतिबद्धता महानगरवासी जनता सामु गरेका छौँ र मलाई विश्वास छ यहाँ जस्ता विज्ञहरूको सहयोगले हाम्रो काठमाडौँ सहरलाई स्मार्ट सिटी बनाउने अभियानमा महत्त्वपूर्ण सहयोग पुग्नेछ। करिब 15 लाख स्थायी जनसङ्ख्या र त्यसको दोब्बर जनसङ्ख्या सेवाग्राही रहेको पाइन्छ। सामु काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकामा प्रभावकारी ढङ्गबाट सुशासन तथा सेवाहरू पुर्याउन अभूतपूर्व चुनौतीहरू रहेको छ र यसका लागि सूचना तथा सञ्चार प्रविधिको माध्यम नै सबभन्दा उत्तम तथा सरल उपाय रहेको मैले ठानेको छु। यसै प्रसङ्गमा हामीले महानगरीय ब्रोडब्यान्ड नेटवर्कको अवधारणालाई अगाडि बढाई महानगरको प्रमुख स्थानहरूमा वाइफाईको व्यवस्था गरी स्थानीय विद्यालय तथा कलेज सञ्जालमा गाभ्ने कार्यलाई सुचारू रूपले कार्यान्वयन गर्नको लागि निर्देशन दिएका छौँ। हामीले आशा गरेका छौँ कि यहाँ उपस्थित विज्ञहरूले इन्टरनेट वा तट सम्बन्धी प्रविधिको माध्यमबाट जनमानसलाई कसरी सुविधा पुर्याउन सकिन्छ भन्ने कुरामा गहन अध्ययन गरी केही सुझाव दिनुहुनेछ। यसको लागि काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिका तपाईहरू जस्तो सेवा प्रदायक इन्जिनियर तथा शोधकर्ताहरूसँग सहकार्य गर्न इच्छुक हुनुको साथसाथै सदैव सहयोग गर्न तत्पर रहेको छु। नेपालमा सन् 2015मा गएको महाविनाशकारी भूकम्पबारे यहाँहरूलाई अवगत नै होला र काठमाडौँको कतिपय सांस्कृतिक सम्पदा स्थानहरूमा यहाँहरूले प्रत्यक्ष रूपमा उक्त विनाशको भग्नावशेषहरू पनि देख्नुभयो होला। यसै प्रसङ्गमा पुनर्निर्माण प्रक्रियामा यहाँहरूको अमूल्य सुझावहरूको अपेक्षा गर्दै भूकम्पपछि पुनर्निर्माणको समयमा पनि यहाँहरूको गरिमामय उपस्थितिले हाम्रो आत्मविश्वास बढाएकोमा एकपल्ट फेरि धन्यवाद ज्ञापन गर्दछु। आशा छ यहाँहरूले आफ्नो कार्य व्यस्तताको बावजुद पनि केही समय निकालेर हाम्रो सम्पदा र संस्कृतिको अवलोकन गर्दै यहाँको खानाको स्वाद लिनुहुनेछ। काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकाको तर्फबाट र मेरो व्यक्तिगत तर्फबाट यहाँहरूलाई एकपल्ट फेरि हार्दिक धन्यवाद दिँदै आगामी दिनहरूमा पनि यस सहरमा फेरि यहाँहरूसँग भेट हुने आशा गर्दछु। अन्त्यमा यहाँहरूको अमूल्य समय नलिई यस भेलाको पूर्ण सफलताको कामना गर्दै काठमाडौँमा यहाँहरूको बसाइ सुखमय होस् भन्ने कामना गर्दछु। धन्यवाद।
So I would like to thank you very much, Mayor, for your kind words. I hope you enjoy your time here at the conference. Many people are from Australia. I'm from Australia, so I thought I'd bring you something Australian to show our appreciation. It's a boomerang, and it works. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. All right, so thank you very much, Mayor. I would now like to invite our keynote speaker, Amir Khan. While Amir gets sorted out and ready to share his wisdom with us, a little bit of background. He's going to look at an internetworking journey. But as Gaurav said, probably not looking back, but probably more looking forwards. Amir has spent the last 3 decades working on various aspects of networking. He led teams, startups, that brought paradigm shifts in building and understanding of networking technologies. In his keynote, he's going to dwell on these interesting times and share his experiences being an engineer, product leader, and an entrepreneur. So, Amir, the stage is yours.
Is this on? Testing. Can you hear me now at the back? Great, thank you. Thanks, Philip, for the kind introduction. Esteemed Mayor, thank you for coming to attend this conference. What an honor to be in front of a very knowledgeable and technical audience. Today I would like to share my journey through creating this company, Viptela, and the future of network services as far as service providers are concerned. We took upon this journey in 2012, and as you know, in August, September timeframe, we closed the deal with Cisco. Now Cisco is utilizing that technology to evolve private connectivity. Now, I will dwell on a little bit into the history and give you a perspective on how we thought about this idea to evolve services into the future. So if you remember, in the 80s and early 90s, we had leased lines and we had frame relay and ATM technologies which were used to divide up the bandwidth on leased line and share it in a multiplexed manner. So we came up with virtual connections. So you could scale connectivity to many, many sites. Some of our customers at that time had 40, 50,000 sites, and you had to go virtual, not physical, as far as connectivity is concerned. Now, at that time, we had a problem in scale because the enterprises were using routing technology. And frame relay and ATM, since you could create a full mesh or partial mesh of connectivity, of virtual connections, virtual pipes, you had to scale routing and scale adjacencies as far as routing is concerned. And that was a problem, right? So how did we solve that problem? Was by putting routers in the middle to divide up those meshes and partial. Even at that time, the number of sites was not very different. The speeds and feeds was different. Dial-ups, 64 kilobit connections, and megabit was a huge amount of bandwidth at that time. Now, as we evolved, we thought that we need to solve that problem slightly differently. So we came up with the idea of MPLS. And in case of MPLS, rather than creating adjacencies from routing protocol perspective to all the remote sites, we created one adjacency to the service provider and handed all of our routes to the provider. Great when you have private connectivity between branches and private data centers. Then came the cloud. Those connectivity models were just not working for us. We need to evolve as the industry transforms. So what do? We need to bring that control back into the hands of the enterprise and perhaps provide managed services to those enterprises. But we need to keep in mind the scalability issues. So from the routing protocol perspective, you cannot scale still the routing protocols more than 1,000, 2,000, perhaps less, right, nodes. So what do? You again divide up through BGP and create smaller OSPF clouds and interconnect them, but not over the wide area, right? So how do we provide services to large-scale enterprises? We have to extract the routes and put them into the cloud rather than putting on the MPLS network and utilize MPLS Internet or LTE as pure transport and create a virtual fabric so that you can access services anywhere to anywhere in a very elastic manner, right? So, but the moment you bring internet into the picture, you have to secure the environment. And it's a nightmare for those of you who deploy IPsec connections between many, many sites to scale the environment because IPsec was designed for point-to-point security that we can create large-scale meshes and partial meshes without having to trouble you or the end customer. And that's the problem that we solved. Very flexible, secure, elastic connectivity between the private data centers and branches, cloud applications, as well as cloud infrastructure. So you can spin up instances into Amazon or Azure or Google Cloud Platform or Oracle. So it's completely flexible from that perspective. And I'll talk about the technology, about how we achieve that a little bit, and then open it up for questions. So we created a protocol which is based on BGP, it's derived from BGP, but we had to evolve it so that it would scale not only for routing, but also for security, for encryption, large-scale encryption. At the same time, while you create that flexible fabric, you need to still seamlessly interconnect the data center and the branches through this protocol to be able to exchange the routes, so it's a very seamless environment, right? So that's another challenge that we solved. As far as key distribution is concerned, people who have tried to do it, you know how difficult that is. If you have to manage shared keys, a lot of times people don't even update their security keys for many, many years, let alone days, right? So we innovated to make the control and the data plane independently secure. If you remember, the routing protocols were always running on the same link, the control plane and the data plane. The convergence had to take place. If the route converged, your link converged. But in this new environment, if we have to scale the environment, then you can have more than 2 or 3 adjacencies from each branch router, right? So the controllers can be sitting anywhere on the cloud. Routing protocol adjacencies can be a few, but the data plane needs to be a full mesh. So you pre-calculate the routes, pre-program the forwarding plane, create a full mesh of tunnels using IPsec data plane, not the control plane, in a very secure environment, and run technologies like BFD on each one of those tunnels to be able to calculate the underlying characteristics like loss, latency, and jitter, MTU discovery. Even if you are sitting behind network address translation over a private connection, you should be able to extend that connectivity seamlessly. I should be able to give you a router that you put behind your home gateway, and you're able to extend the connectivity anywhere, because your IoT devices are going to be sitting, in many cases, in private environments, right? So public, private data centers, branches, and public clouds, private clouds, you need to address all of that and evolve the connectivity from MPLS to next generation, where we can provide seamless capabilities for you to scale that connectivity into the clouds anywhere. So users and things anywhere should be able to flexibly connect to applications sitting anywhere in private or public clouds. That's the problem that we solved. Now, how do you take 50, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 sites from customers and secure them without having key servers for that environment? So we came up with a very creative idea. Instead of using IKE, we created secure connectivity to the control plane, and each one of the devices, the routers, generated their own private key and exchanged over their control plane, right, to have the other sites send the data using that encryption key. Now you can scale connectivity, the secure connectivity, just like routing scales, right, at the level of routing. Because it used to be point-to-point, now key distribution is to thousands of sites, and you can update the keys every 30 seconds if you want. You don't even have to think about encryption anymore because there's no key server. There's a TPM chip in each router, which has a private key, which is used to authenticate and authorize the connection. You create a secure connection over that to the control and management plane automatically, and then you start doing the key distribution using those channels to do large-scale meshes in the data plane. And in those secure channels, you run routing protocols and BFD to understand the loss, latency, jitter, MTU, et cetera, so that you always know how your network is behaving across the network. Remember how difficult it was to run SLA, IP SLA? It's all integrated into that environment. It's a very simple, clean environment. Now you have a comprehensive view into the underlying transport layers, right? So that's what we solved. Now, in addition to that, you need to be able to move the higher layer services like firewalls, load balancers, and many other technologies anywhere in the private or the public cloud. One of our customers came to us and said, if you can centralize my firewalls, I would give you my business. And you know how difficult that challenge is, right? So what we came up with was very simple mechanisms that you plug your device in, you give it a name, Firewall 1, right? And you distribute that information, the mapping of the name to the IP address using routing protocols everywhere, create a 4-line policy and say, my 2,000 sites need to go through Firewall 1. And automatically, the traffic starts getting routed through that firewall. Now imagine if you have to service the firewalls or any higher layer service, how easy it becomes to be able to send the traffic through one firewall, and if you want to service it, move it across to another firewall and start offering those services at scale as service providers, right? So what I like to tell the service provider customers is that now you can evolve the offering to cloud connectivity, right? You can scale it, you can easily manage it, and how do you make money? You become more relevant by selling more circuits, MPLS plus internet. One of our customers went from 2 MPLS to 1 MPLS, dual broadband, and 1 LTE in every site, active. And that also used to be a problem, right? When you had 2 MPLS connections, you mostly had 1 active MPLS connection. So you can get much better bandwidth. You always understand the underlying characteristics of the transport layers, right? And you are in total control of how you deploy your higher layer services. That is the problem that we solved. So let's say you want to move into the cloud. You have 1,000 instances in Amazon or Azure. What do you do? Where do you put the firewall? Or where do you extend, how do you seamlessly extend the connectivity into that? So you create a VPC and put a virtual device there. Automatically, based on zero-touch provisioning, the connectivity extends from all, whatever number of branches you have into that VPC, and from there, you can provision IPsec tunnels to each one of the instances, and you can create multiples of those virtual private clouds, right? Those aggregation points. So that's how you scale into the cloud. And there are many more features that we came up with, which are being extended now to evolve this type of connectivity. And the policy language obviously goes with it. You need to extend the policies for the virtual environment. Now, for once, it's a complete overlay, anywhere to anywhere connectivity. So you make money by selling more circuits as a provider. Yes, 1 MPLS connection may go away. You extend it globally by getting any private connection in any country. You don't have to be restricted to your own countries anymore because it's an overlay connection. So you don't have to worry about MPLS interoperating between providers and taking an internet route or an LTE route as a enterprise network, right? And at the same time, make higher layer services available at scale to the end customers. Now you have an opportunity to evolve beyond connectivity to deploy higher layer services and become more relevant to the end customer and increase your average revenue per user as a provider, right? And global scale, for many of our customers, were very, very important. Now see, you can get a cable connection anywhere in any country or get wholesale connections from any local provider and be able to extend your virtual connectivity over that, right? So your customers only have one virtual connection provider to go to. So you will start to see people evolve from that perspective. Now, where do we take this technology in the future? I think it's very applicable to different parts of the internal network as well. So you will start to see more and more control planes sitting in the cloud and managing your networks inside the private enterprise infrastructure. And what I like to tell people is that if you look at the the Tesla cars, right? They took us from cruise control or adaptive cruise control where your car automatically manages the distance between you and the next car, to autopilot, to auto track the lane, to now we are moving towards autonomous cars, which will self-drive, right? In networking, for the longest time, we were sitting not even at the adaptive cruise control level, we were sitting at the cruise control level. So perhaps what we have done is brought autopilot to the networking industry, and now we can extend it so that we can make it fully automatic, so your life becomes much, much easier to manage in a multi-tenancy environment and start offering services to the end customers at a large scale. And remember, because it's a secure environment, routers are always authenticating and authorizing each other. You don't have to do encryption based on an individual routing protocol, because when the control plane comes up, all routing protocols are running in that secure control plane. And the data plane is independently secure using a full mesh or partial mesh of IPsec, data plane, right? So now you don't have to worry about any unauthorized device coming into your environment as an enterprise. And perhaps we can evolve these technologies to the service provider environment as well to get some of these ideas to see how we can secure the routers end to end, so there are config changes, any new nodes coming into the network. You should always be alarmed that something changed in the network, and we have that capability. If the cloud service providers can scale their cloud environments to millions of nodes, I think we have an opportunity to scale the private connectivity and the public connectivity in a secure manner and control it using those clouds, right? And provide large-scale analytics to the end customers, provide capabilities to be able to make decisions, highlight changes. If some rogue routes came up from somewhere, you should be able to identify where the future of the connectivity is, and the private services more robust. So I hope I have given you a glimpse into what we have tried to do as Viptela. With that, I would like to open up for questions, if you have any questions. Somebody has to have a question. No questions? Okay, there's one right there.
Thank you. Daniel Filati from Verizon. There seems to be a lot of SD-WAN implementations out there. What do you think is the next killer feature that's going to set things apart?
I'm sorry, could you repeat your question?
In terms of SD-WAN offerings out there, what do you think is the next killer feature that might set things apart?
I think, rather than looking at the killer feature, things will evolve as we learn more about the environment. Because this is kind of a new concept right now. So we have done deployments at the scale of 6,000 to 10,000 nodes already as Viptela. I'm not sure, because I'm not part of Cisco right now. I'm not sure how much they have done. So already the opportunity, wherever there's a complex environment, whether it's 20 sites or 50 sites, where you need to have control planes sitting in the internet or MPLS and be able to manage all different types of transport in a ubiquitous manner, that's where you utilize this technology. The older data plane just doesn't work in case of complexity as you want to evolve that, right? So we need to take this technology and make it available at a broad scale across the world. So prediction is that we're going to have this market grow from maybe $100 million to $6 billion by 2020, right? So all the major enterprises that I'm talking to and I'm hearing in the industry, they're considering this technology going forward. And consortiums of service providers across the globe, whether it's Europe or Asia or Americas, it doesn't matter, Africa, everybody is looking at utilizing this technology to become more relevant going forward. All right.
working.
This is Samit from Whirling Communication.
Hi.
Do you think we can evolve this technology not only for the enterprise, but then bring it to our service provider to manage service provider network and get rid of MPLS?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, right, this technology basically allows you to convert MPLS into a pure transport. Rather than handing your routes over to the service providers, the service providers can become more relevant by managing this service and putting the addresses in the cloud rather than putting them in all the provider edge boxes, right? So already you can utilize your existing infrastructure better because you don't have to always upgrade the underlying infrastructure because you're running out of capacity in the forwarding plane and the routers. You just have to worry about the bandwidth now. So, you know, how many people here are deploying traffic engineering? That was one of the key features for MPLS, right? So I see a few hands across this audience, right? So even things like traffic engineering, not many people. So if you had a pure IP infrastructure where you were utilizing, let's say, a protocol called like OSPF or just pure BGP OSPF scale, internet scale, private connectivity, right? All you need is the capability to go from point A to point B. If you can plug your laptop, you can plug this technology and extend connectivity. That's how simple it makes it for you. So your existing infrastructure becomes much, much, you know, more cost effective, much simpler to manage. It's just like managing the internet going forward, right? So as people start to understand that better, yes, there are concerns from some of the customers on QoS. But I tell you, if you go and look at a publicly available study that one of our customers, Agilent, did, they had approximately 130 sites across the globe, everywhere in the world, right? And they showed that their voice was behaving better on the internet than MPLS, right? So as you start to evolve this connectivity, you don't have to spend millions on buying this equipment, you know, to maintain or evolve the MPLS infrastructure. You can start to offer better services by managing, still keeping control over the customer environment, by offering cloud-based connectivity services versus hop-by-hop connectivity services across the globe, right? So I think that's where the market is going to go. That just like ATM and frame relay evolved into MPLS, now from MPLS, it'll become just one type of transport because your private connectivity is evolving from MPLS to having MPLS broadband and wireless, right? So people will be going in that direction. And these types of technologies are going to become more and more relevant in making your infrastructure simpler, at the same time being able to offer services in a much more scalable manner. Any other questions? Okay. If there's no question, thank you very much. Really appreciate that.
So thank you very much, Amir. As a token of appreciation, we would like to give you this small gift from Nepal. Thank you very much, Amir. Really enjoyed it. Thank you. It's a photographer here. That's it. Sorry, I should have stayed with other microphone. Okay, so thank you very much. So next up, I would like to welcome our second keynote, Mahabir Pun. And while Mahabir comes up here, I will just give you a little bit of background about him. So Mahabir is going to be talking about crowdsourcing the National Innovation Center. Mahabir is an Internet Hall of Fame recipient and is well known for his extensive work in applying wireless technologies to develop remote areas of the Himalayas, also known as the Nepal Wireless Networking Project. Project was established in 2002 to build a local communications network to connect people in Himalayan communities. By 2006, he had connected 13 mountain villages to a Wi-Fi network and internet, and since then the network has extended to 175 villages in 15 districts in Nepal today. Mahabir also led the initiative to develop a National Innovation Center to foster research for economic development in Nepal. So I'd like to invite Mahabir to the stage. Thank you. So, this is the route. It's big green. Push it to go forward. Yes.
Thank you very much for the nice introduction. And on behalf of the people of Nepal, I would like to thank the organizer of this international conference in Nepal for giving me opportunity to tell something about the works that I have been doing in Nepal, especially the establishment of National Innovation Center for the Economic Development. Many of you who don't know me might be wondering, why am I given this podium to speak about this National Innovation Center at this international conference of the internet, builders, internet experts, managers, providers? Why? You might be wondering. And you might be wondering how National Innovation Center is related to the works that Apricot has been doing, or how the mission and the vision of National Innovation Center is connected to the mission of Apricot. My friends, I would like to tell that, we'll be doing a lot of, you will be using and doing a lot of this technology-related works through this innovation center, and that's what our dream is. That's why, I would like to, thank for giving me opportunities. And in a very brief, in a few minutes, in order to explain to you why we needed to build National Innovation Center in Nepal, just to give a preview of just a snapshot. Let me tell my background or background of my life. I grew up in a mountain village, in a very remote mountain village. Nobody that time in the villages used to send their children to high school. My father came up with an idea of sending me to high school, and he was the only person that time, who planned to send me to the high school. So there was no high school in that area. So he moved the whole family from the mountain to the plain areas. That's how I became able to get my high school education. After I completed my 12th grade education, I decided to stop. My father wanted to send me to the college. I said no. The reason I said no is because I knew that my father, he didn't have money. So, at the age of 19, I became a teacher. And I thought, that during that time, I thought that I would never be able to go to the college in my life. And that was the end of my life. That's what I thought. But, when I was 33 years old, there was a turning point. And I became able to go to college in America. And it sounds, very funny. At the age of 33, I was going to college as a freshman. And it's a long story. So just, I will make it short. And after I graduated from the university, I came back to Nepal, and I didn't know what I could do. And I started to work for community development in different fields, like in the field of education, in the field of health, income generation, tourism, whatever I could provide, whatever support I could provide to the people as a volunteer. So in 1997, the nearest city from my village, which is 2 days walk from my village, got internet in 1997. So I started coming down to that city to check my email once a month. Okay, every month I had to come down to check my email, and I did that for 4 years. And finally I got tired of that, and then I decided to build Nepal wireless network. So that's something I would like to, show you here. Is it working? It's not moving. Okay, so I started building that, but to, in order to give you some ideas about the situation when I work that time, I just, it's just fast forwarding, okay? I just would like to give you some pictures just to, that will help you to understand the situation I was working on. We didn't have any computers, so we started assembling computers in wooden boxes. We built many of them and gave it to the schools. Then when I decided to build a wireless network, we didn't have any equipment. And that was the only equipment that was available that time. And we started with that. And those are the setups we put to build the wireless networks. These are from early 2001. So these are the pictures that can give you some some idea about the situation that I was working. And the goal of Nepal Wireless still is we're focusing on providing the services, especially in the field of education and in the field of medicine to the people living in the remote areas, and we're trying to maximize the benefit of the technology to the rural people. That's how our focus is. Recently, we also work with some support from APNIC. We also did a pilot project of building a hybrid network of Wi-Fi and TV wide space technology, and that technology worked very well also. This evening at 6 o'clock, I am also giving a little bit talk program about this TV wide space technology in this building. If you are interested, you can come. Now let me go into the main topics, the National Innovation Center, and why I am starting this campaign. After working for 20 years, I realized that Nepal is always going to stay a poor country. And I tried to find the reason why Nepal is always poor. I realized that, Nepal is poor. I found this, reason. The reason Nepal is poor is because we have this huge trade deficit. This is the import and export ratio is 9:1, always more than that. That means over 90% of the goods that we consume in Nepal, we import, and we only export less than 10%. Then I started thinking why this is happening. And I found that the reason we have no export, producing anything, The reason we are not producing anything is because the government in the last 65 years had not given any priority for the development of science, technology, and innovation. The government has not given any priority to keep the talented, highly talented, innovative, and creative people of Nepal in Nepal. That was the reason, many of our highly talented people are leaving the country, and I concluded that until we find ways to keep them in Nepal, Nepal is never going to be a developed country, because if we keep them in Nepal, using their talents, we can help develop the economy of the country. Without that, Nepal will always remain poor. That's something I learned after working for 20 years as a volunteer in the mountains of Nepal. So I decided to do a little bit more, and we, after talking with many of our friends, we established an innovation center, and we think that it is late, but it is still not too late, and we will have to do something. So that's the vision of the National Innovation Center. The vision of the National Innovation Center is to use the most precious human resources for the economic development of Nepal, because without without the ideas coming from the talented people, no country can become a developed country or can develop the economy. So we need to provide opportunity to those creative and talented people and help them to stay in Nepal. So that's something, we made this as our vision, and we want to uplift Nepal from the list of the least developed country to a developed country through innovation. That's the goal. And we want to establish an independent and financially self-sustained innovation. That's our goal. So how the NIC will support to the innovators? We are not expert. Well, we have been saying that we are not expert, and we haven't, we have no idea how to run an innovation center. But we have no choice, and we must do it. We must learn it by doing it. That's why, these are the 4 steps we have decided to take to support the innovators. The first stage is to help the innovators to, to do their testing of their ideas, the concepts for the development of products, or for designing a prototype of any products or services. That's the first step. If they become able to do something or develop the prototype, then we would like to help them to develop the product. For doing all these 2 steps, we want to provide full financial support, mentoring, and space for those innovators and work there. If we don't do this, we don't take these steps, and we don't provide any opportunities for them to work and do something or create something, these highly talented students or people will leave the country, and that's the only way to keep them here in Nepal. And then step 3, what we would do is, after they become able to develop a product or service, whatever, we will help them to get the patent right, intellectual property right, or whatever right they need. And then on the 4th stage, we will provide support to connect them to the investors, because at the end, they have to commercialize their idea. Without commercializing their idea, they are not going to make any money, and Nepal is not going to become a developed country. So we have some plans for sustainability as well, because we cannot make this program running always begging. We don't want to beg. We just want to beg one time. Okay? So what we will do is, with the money that we will raise, we will invest on anything. We don't know what is that, but we will invest on anything that can bring income for the center on a regular basis. We are working on several plans to generate financial resources, and we are brainstorming. There are a lot of people supporting in that brainstorming process. And one of the idea that we have is to develop a hydropower, 10 to 15 megawatt hydropower station, and sell the power and generate money to make this, to keep this innovation center running. That's just one idea. We have many other ideas, such as, investing on renewable energy, such as biogas or solar, or investing on any manufacturing business. These are some of these ideas we have now. That's why I request all of the Nepalese, my friends, and abroad and in Nepal, to support this, to provide support for this innovation center by bringing ideas and skill to establish and run innovation center. That's the most important support anybody can provide for the center, and by signing up to become mentor for the talented Nepali innovators. And you can provide your mentorship from wherever you are staying. You can provide financial support and material support one time in your capacity. And you can contribute your time, maybe 30 to 40, 50 minutes of your time, to promote this idea of innovation center with your friends and families. That's what we're requesting. And our current activities in technology-driven projects, we are doing several things. For example, we are building autonomous medical drone to deliver medicine in the remote areas. We have 12 people working on that. Many people ask me, why do you do this? Because there is already a medical drone available in the market. Why don't you just buy it and bring it here and use it? I say, if we buy those things, if we import those things from other countries, our engineers, our talented people will never get opportunity to do that here in Nepal. That's why we are developing this. We are some people are developing water filter that can also treat the water, filter and the water at the same time. They have developed this product. And some people, are working to develop a battery maintenance system for three-wheelers. We have a lot of, e-rickshaw or rickshaws, three-wheelers run on batteries in the southern part of Nepal, and they are having problem because they are, those batteries are, being damaged because of the poor maintenance. So there are people working on that. We have, Association of Nepalese food scientists who are, trying to develop some food products and commercialize it. And there are people who are trying to find ways to develop some herbal products, because Nepal is very rich in natural herbs. They are trying to do that. We are trying to help. Nepal also grows, a lot of gingers, and they are also trying to find ways to develop products from gingers. And there are many more ideas are coming. I cannot tell all this because of the time limit I am given. And we have also received many requests from many investors. We also have, projects driven by public needs. We just, our mayor of this, municipality, he just left. We have 753 local governments, and we just had a local election and a state level election and a federal level election just a few months ago. And what most of these, political leaders are talking about is, promising with this, they are promising with the people that they would make their city or village smarter. But many of them, most of them don't have any idea how they can make their village or city smarter. That's why what we are doing, few people are working in our group to find ways, to develop application or, anything that can, especially in the field of education, in the field of rural health, and in the field of agriculture, to provide that, services to the people. We need a lot of help from engineers like you in the area of, finding ways to make our villages and our cities smarter. That's where Applicate can help also. And also we are, right now, we are building a space, a maker space, a research lab at the premise of the university in Kirtipur. That's the, design. It's about 5,000 square foot, building is going to be. So people we will have, lot of things that the researchers can use there. So far, we have received around, $600,000 donations from people all over the world, and I also have, donated the land I used to own, and that worth around $300,000. And also, I have put my national and the international medals or awards that I have received. I have put them on sale. If anybody is interested, you can get them. So that's the starting. That's the starting, and we hope to raise at least $5 million within a year or so. And but we are moving. We are moving. So there are different ways. If you are interested, there are different ways you can contribute. It's not only the money I am asking for. I am asking for ideas. I am asking, for your time to contribute to make the dream of National Innovation Center come true. But if you want to, contribute some money, you can send the money to the bank account. The bank account is given in the website there. You can also donate online through GoFundMe, and we have a link of, that GoFundMe campaign there also. And if you prefer tax deduction, and donate through Himachal Education Foundation, which is a 501c3 organization based in America, you can also go to that website and donate. So finally, let me finish my presentation with this Chinese proverb. All of you, are familiar with this proverb, I suppose. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a life. Nepal so far got billions of dollars foreign support. Even if we got that much amount of money as foreign support, we are still poor. And we will still remain poor no matter how much foreign support we keep receiving, unless we start something like this in Nepal. We must keep our talented people. We must find ways to keep there. We must find ways to bring these talented people who already left the country. We need to bring them back. And that's the only way to make Nepal economically developed country. This very much. I have a website, and I have my email and a phone number, and I also have this pamphlets I will have, and if you are interested, I can give it to you also. I will be around here, and I will be speaking at 6 o'clock today also. Thank you very much. Any question?
You have time for questions? Absolutely. Any questions for Mahabir? We had the trend starting with the previous keynote. Surely somebody has something they would like to ask. We still have some time. I guess not. I think people are keeping the questions for the break time and your buff session this evening. So Mahabir, before you go, I would just like to give you a small token from Apricot. Thank you very much. that brings us to the end of the opening plenary. We finished a few minutes early, which is a relief, I think, for the hotel and the organizers. So we need to separate the room into two pieces. So we have a few more minutes to do that. So I'd like to thank, of course, the Mayor of Kathmandu, our two keynote speakers, Amir and Mahabir Pun. We hope that you enjoyed both presentations, both very, very different, but very, very interesting, I certainly thought. So if you have questions for both keynoters that you're too, I suppose, embarrassed or afraid to ask in front of 600 people, you're very welcome to ask them during the break time. After the break, we have, in this room, we have the APNIC Cooperation SIG. In the other half of the ballroom, we have the first APOP session. And we also have a couple of tutorials taking place in the other two rooms. So with that, thank you all very much and enjoy the next 4 days. The keynote speakers and the VIPs can